Hey all, and welcome back to Pokémon Colosseum. Today, we're returning to Pyrite Town, where I believe it's time to finally enter one of the most important areas of the game, Flame?
Yeah, we kind of put it off a little bit with the side questy stuff, but now we are actually making a bit of plot progression.
Yes!
Although, as you may see from how the next couple of parts, well, next 3 parts really play out, it doesn't really feel like it, because this part of the game does go quite slow.
Oh, yeah. So we're heading to the Under today, which is, I'm trying to think of a comparison that I could make to it. It's just like a big old shantyburg under Pyrite Town itself, and thankfully Flame's already taken care of the trainer guarding the entrance to the Under. But the key, we have that, so let's use it and go down under.
Perfecto.
And that trainer there, I seem to recall it actually made me fight her again there, and like even though I fought her on the way up to Miracle Bee, and I had to just go out the building and then back in there just to get without having to redo the fight. But yeah. This is the Under. It is... If you thought Pyrite Town was a shithole, you ain't seen nothing yet, because look at this place.
Wow.
Yeah, basically, this is the ghetto within the ghetto, effectively, because this place is, like, grotty as all hell.
What's the point of it, though, Flame? Why are there people living here, exactly? If you can even call it living. That's an NPC boss, if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, like, she's just radiates boss energy, doesn't she? But the idea here is that there's a bit of a crime network going on around, like with Cypher hanging out here. It's going to become a bit more obvious what's going on as we sort of make our way closer to this boss character here.
Okay.
But yeah, Lady Venus is basically the Under's idol celebrity. Like, they all look up to her and watch whenever she's on that big screen. Like, you know, so describing it like that makes them seem like a bunch of wild animals or something, but
that is.
Well, I mean, there is actually another bit of kind of plot reasoning as to why this place exists. I mean, at the minute, it is a wholly lawless underground town that is ruled by the criminal syndicate Cypher, but originally, it was an artificial town constructed for the convenience of the miners of Pyrite. So instead of having to commute between Pyrite and the mine each day, the workers who were assigned to dig in the mine would just stay in the Under instead. When the mine closed, kind of years later, the miners chose to remain in their adopted home. Now most of the Under is populated by the descendants of the original mining crew. The original inhabitants that still live in the Under are quite old, but are fond of telling stories of when the mine was in its prime. And what is also mentioned here on Bulbapedia articles, because of course I'm reading off of Bulbapedia, since the Under is a full-fledged city in itself, many of its inhabitants have rarely, and in some cases never have, been to the surface. It's for this reason that the residents tend to be suspicious of those visiting from Pyrite. A fenced-off area in the southeastern portion of the Under serves as the town's makeshift prison, and it is in that structure that visitors from the surface are occasionally detained.
yeah, there's probably some interesting sociological analysis you could do with this little community down here, in that, like, they're just so, like, reserved from the outside world entirely that, like, they just instantly think anyone who shows up from the top must be, like, some weird criminal spy person.
Basically, yes.
I'm kind of getting some Po-Town vibes from Gen 7 here.
A little bit. Like, I feel like that is less of a community kind of thing, because that is basically just Team Skull living there, whereas this is like there's the good descendants of the original mining community mixed in with the Cypher criminal lot, so it's not just a crime town, it just seems like a bit of a oddly stylish shithole.
Yeah.
So what can we expect from this part, Flame? What is the story for us right now?
Right now, we're just exploring the Under, and we're kind of getting a feel for what's what so far.
Okay.
Because we're going to be doing this, and I believe next part we're going to be actually encountering Lady Venus properly.
Ooh, very nice. Something to look forward to, and I guess coming back every day for that HFC fix. You know you want to. Please say you want to.
But yeah, like I say, oddly stylish. You see some, like, it's almost like, you know, the Vegas-like aesthetic, but bundled on top of Pirate Town.
Yeah, like, why is this place jauntier than Pyrite Town itself? That don't make a lick of sense.
I don't know, like, maybe it's... they've got a really fucking overpriced hotel, right? That bed there, you want to spend $1,000 there to sleep the night? No, fuck that shit.
Definitely not.
So yeah, as we go around places, we'll get a little bit more information filled in, so that's why I'm kind of doing the kill time, walk around everywhere thing here so far.
Ah. And let's play classic, I think you'll find.
Well, not really, given that makes it so much harder to explain what's going on.
Yeah.
Let's talk to all the Lady Venus fanboys.
Okay.
I have to say, the whole thing with Lady Venus is it's probably one of the stranger bits of Colosseum, because I would argue that it's probably the bit that is the most Japanese of the entire game.
Yeah.
And considering, like, everywhere else in the game is very westernized in terms of the look and the feel. Like, I mean, obviously this came out around the time where a lot of games were beginning to go into that serious grey and brown feel. And so... it sort of feels very Western, apart from, the obvious Pokemon stuff. But the whole idea of having an idol and all of that does just... it sits slightly strangely in this sort of region for me. But that might partially be because, obviously, when I first came across this, I was a lot younger and had no idea that idols were a thing in Japan.
Oh... to remain so ignorant of the idol industry, if only.
I know.
Well, I think you could take it as like a comparison to the like Japanese pop idols and whatnot, but like I think the way I've read this, bear in mind what Richie was saying about how the people were very reserved from the outside world, and they're suspicious of like anything vaguely foreign to this closed-in area. The idea of idol worship is much easier to sell to communities like this.
Yeah.
That's true.
And so, if you've got a corrupt organisation like Cypher who want to gain support for like whatever they may be doing, these kind of people are the ones that it's much easier to get them on your side if they have somebody to look up to, like Lady Venus. So I guess you could take it either which way, and let's have a look at fucking Wailord's
Oh my god! Like, I was not expecting that, because first I was like, oh, he's sending out Magikarp and Feebas at the same time, what a dullard, and then fucking Wailord out of nowhere. This was like before they shrunk him down to make him fit on a 3DS without having it explode.
Yeah, well, I mean, it still technically kind of does get close on the 3DS, because the 3DS games are really not optimised that well at all.
No, that's one thing I'm most looking forward to with Gen 8, honestly. The fact that it's on hardware that maybe won't shit the bed every 5 seconds.
Yes, and we'll be able to pull off battles better than this, much more successfully. Because, I mean, like... as much as, this particular look and feel of Pokemon, it has aged. I mean, particularly the models that come from the N64, I mean, my god, they aged. But it still looks good. I mean, particularly when they had Pokemon Battle Revolution on the Wii, that looked really good. And, like, the whole play of it felt really good. So getting, that visual quality of battling... mixed with, the actual gameplay of the core games is just going to be amazing. I just hope that, the games and the region manages to live up to everything that it has the potential to be.
Yes, and we need a Fire Ox or a Fire Snake as the starter, thank you very much.
I have to say, I would quite like to see a Fire Rabbit, if I'm honest. Like, Fire Snake less so because we've already had a Grass Snake starter, I can't be doing with a repeat there. Ox, I'd just be thinking of Tauros the entire time. Obviously, Horse, we've already got Ponyta, so sod that.
Yeah.
And, Sheep, I'd just be thinking of the Mareep line, so Fire Rabbit, even though I'd be thinking potentially of Baneri, it's one of the creatures that we haven't really had a starter with that look and feel, so I would feel quite happy with a Fire Rabbit, but there we go.
I say this, of course, because I was putting about the fact that all the fire starters in Pokemon basically follow the Chinese zodiac. Even if Cyndaquil in its line are echidnas and Fennekin is a fox, they still fit the shape and thus fit the pattern thus far.
You're gonna force this no matter how much resistance you get. Is that what's going on there? But yes, what we're seeing here is basically this guy here and some of the other kids around the Under. They're part of this thing called the Kids Grid, which they have kind of ties to the little kids group we saw in Pirate Town behind Dew King's place as well. And so that's kind of what's going on there.
Mm.
Yeah, it's quite cool that you've got this criminal underground area, and within the criminal underground area, you've got criminals, so the good guys, within them, kind of trying to undermine everything that they do in the Under. It's quite clever.
Oh my god, it's Anthem again.
And we are actually seeing a couple of the boss characters there, because you can tell the guy on the left, he's got a bit of a quirky strand on his hair as well, so he's got to be something important.
If they've got an overly elaborate style, they're gonna be boss characters. Oh, so this is the fabled Ein, whose files we've been finding all over the place.
Yeah, first time we've seen him, but we've stole a shitload of his paperwork.
I'm sure he would really appreciate us, giving it him back. But considering, he's so ridiculous as to leave it lying about literally everywhere, he kind of really deserves for us to have picked it all up and pilfered it for all of its luscious knowledge.
Well, to be fair, it seems to be his men are getting careless with it, less so him himself. Because, he gives his documents out to his staff, and then if they're careless about it, he can't really do much about that.
It's true, but seriously, he should trust better people. Seriously, if you want a good job doing, you need to do it yourself sometimes, and clearly, the Cypher peons are a little bit incompetent, so I wouldn't trust them to do anything, really.
Hire better staff, got it.
Alas. Alright, what's up next, Flame?
I think we're going to start trying to make our way across once we've found out what else is going on here. This is a bit of a downtime thing, but between main plot points, so we're doing delivery boy job right now.
Transitional part. I know them well.
Yeah. Trying to narrate what's going on when there's so many little bits and pieces is kind of hard, but this is what the plot dump parts are for.
Also, these are some of the good people of the Under, and we're celebrities, I guess?
It seems to be, given we're the ones who took out Mirror B and Dakeem, and we've basically been on these guys' side, even if we haven't interacted with them yet. But it seems like this kid at the back here is more the tech guy who's been working on the network and decrypting shadow Pokemon information and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a little nod to the guys over in Pirate as well.
Gotcha.
It seems amazing the fact that these groups of kids are far more competent than the actual police that we saw in Pirate Town, given they are bumbling around not knowing what the fuck they're doing.
Oh, I mean, that's just a Pokemon tradition. You see these 10-year-olds bringing down, entire criminal organizations, whereas the police can't do a fucking thing to stop them.
Basically.
Yeah, it reminds me of, that one part in Cerulean City in Gen 1, where it's the police officers are out the front talking about how these people are robbed, while the Team Rocket guy is in the back garden just standing there, loitering. Can you not do anything, mate? Just look over the fucking fence.
No, can't do that, sorry.
Well, I mean, in Gen 1, the characters can only see what's directly in front of them, so maybe that's his excuse.
Well, I mean, it's top down to start with, so his perspective is going to be a bit skewed regardless.
I mean, I think that is something. There was a picture or a video or clip or something that I saw the other week, or might be the other month, where it showed a more straight-on perspective of potentially what those ledges look like, as to why you can hop down them but not back up, and it basically showed the ledge is this massive drop, and just yeah, okay, that does make sense. I can't leap over that. Oops. So clearly they won't be able to see over that to see that the guy was just loitering, but then the grunt there who was stealing stuff, it's just run, and then you get away rather than just sitting there and waiting. But hey, once again, adults in the Pokemon series are quite stupid unless they're a gym leader, in which case they've got a little bit more brains to them, but even then they do make some stupid decisions sometimes.
Well, you say that, but we see Silver here, who's looks quite young, and he's managed to get himself captured. So maybe some of the kids are stupid. I don't know.
Well, I was actually going to mention, just in regards to gym leaders and whatnot, you called them stupid, but in Gen 5, all of them rocked up to Gettys's castle to take him down.
Well, point one, it's Get Sis, not Gettys. That was one of the things that really annoyed me in the whichever playthrough it was. I think it was Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, it's Get Sis. But also, I did say not all of them. The gym leaders are pretty much the exception to the rule. It's only sometimes where they make stupid decisions. And I would say, which one is it? There's one of them where they trust somebody or other, but I might be making that one up because God only knows at this point.
What the fuck are you talking about, Richie? Stop babbling and say true things!
If it's not on Bulbapedia, it's not accurate, Rich. You know this.
This is very true. I mean, it might be that I am just thinking of like stuff from the manga or the anime. At some point, all the Pokemon stories just sort of blend into one, and you just end up with this amorphous mass of plot that doesn't really make any sense. But you're just like, I sort of remember this thing, but I don't really, so I'm just going to blather on through it, and that's what I do.
Yeah, we'll keep going. We've got 11 minutes left, Rich.
Right, okay.
I was joking. But you mentioned like the manga and that. I believe there was actually a Pokémon Colosseum themed short manga that was put out. I'd never actually read it or seen much about it, but I remember seeing some of the artwork from it, and I do remember it looking quite cool.
Yeah, so from the looks of things, the manga was called Pokémon Colosseum Snatcher Leo. And it stars sort of the lead cast, so Wes, who was renamed as Leo for some reason, and Rui fighting against Cypher. It was created by Uichi Suigan, who was also known for the manga adaptation of the Director Wishmaker film, and for another manga based on Pokémon Colosseum Snatchers. So it's not part of the main, I believe it's the Pokemon Adventures manga series, which is the one that is definitely worth reading because it is actually excellent.
It's pretty good, yeah.
But it is nice that Colosseum did actually get what looks like two short mangas, which were about 3 volumes, 3 chapters or something each. So quite short, but nice that, it did get that in some form.
Yeah, because I remember thinking it was a shame back in the day how this game and this world didn't get much in terms of adaptations, because I think this world would lend itself really well to an anime series.
Yeah.
But, it's too much of an obscure deep cut at this point for them to reference it in the main series.
No.
I suppose it could have been one of the things, if you remember a little while ago, I didn't actually get around to watching it, but there was that little short series where they showed off parts. I think it was Pokemon Generations.
Yes, it was, yeah.
A little short series like that, covering stuff that was going on in the Euro region, between Colosseum and XD. I think that could have worked quite well.
Oh, definitely, because Pokemon Generations, that is definitely what it was called, because I'm pretty sure it was, and we've all...
It was. I was talking to Volk about it earlier.
Oh, that's good. I'm kind of disappointed that they haven't explored doing more series of that, because it was actually a really good adaptation of the first Pokemon game from what I remember. It was a little bit darker in terms of some of the things that it did, and it was really, really excellent. So I would love to see that come back, even if it just ends up being for adaptations of some of the other games within the series, because it's just quite effective.
When you're talking about Gen 1, I think you may be confusing it with Pokemon Origins, the other little mini anime series they did, because there's the 2 ones. There's Origins, which was just a readaptation of Gen 1, except there were Mega Pokemon in there for some reason.
Yes.
Shilling, we know this by now.
Yeah, and the other one was Pokemon Generations, which kind of had just quickly went over different elements of each of the main series games.
Oh yes, I do remember that now. I've just looked up and I'm just yes, you are right. So I was thinking of Pokemon Origins there, but I would like more of the ilk of Pokemon Origins to be reused, because from what I remember with Generations is that while it was very fun to go through, it did feel perhaps a little bit more rushed because it was obviously short snippets of a whole bunch of the different stories. But it was still excellent.
There was the thing of like them spending a whole episode on like one aspect as well, like Pokemon Tower, for example. I don't think that needed to be a whole episode, but by God, they did it anyway.
Yeah, it did suffer from just being the 4 episodes. I think that should have got like a full 12 episode core. I think that would have been like the right amount of time to cover all the interesting parts of Gen 1 without having to drag it out like the main series does. I think that would have been like the right balance for that kind of thing. But just having the 4, it did feel way too abridged. When you get into a point where you're just sort of skimming through gym battles in a montage, that kind of feels like you're missing some of the good stuff.
I agree. I don't understand, because I'm a pleb, but I agree. Did you just fucking shoot web at my face? I could be playing Spider-Man right now. I'm not getting this kind of shit behaviour.
It's always got to come back to fucking Spider-Man, isn't it?
Well, you see, I'm debating with Ryan right now, Ryan from Brain Scratch, on Twitter actually, about why Spider-Man is a better game than Arkham City, and predictably, he's being a fanboy, whereas I am not a fanboy and completely unbiased.
Can you just stop fucking fighting over comics just for like half-hour sessions so we can talk about fucking Pokemon?
No, I refuse!
Shut Twitter, talk about the game, it's not that hard.
Okay, fine, this fucking hat girl in the background, we got 2 of the same person here, and we got more fights. Fuck it, I'm going back to Twitter.
Well, I mean, I have to say, despite having not played the Arkham games, Spider-Man is like objectively better.
Yes.
Because obviously that is the type of thing that I can say, because I haven't played it, and I played Spider-Man but not Arkham, and I can sort of get away with that being a little bit of a hypocrite, but it's okay.
How can you say it's objectively better if you have no experience with one of them?
Yeah,
that's why I'm saying I'm a little bit of a hypocrite on that one.
Don't be! Informed opinion!
But I will say that Spider-Man is excellent. I 100%ed it, bar the benchmarks, because sod that. And yeah, I'm really excited for the DLC, which doesn't generally happen with me and video games. I don't do DLC all that much, so the fact that I'm just like, I need more Spider-Man. I also need a sequel, that would be nice.
Yeah, well, just while we're on the subject of DLC, we're just going back to Flame's point about, you know, the Ore region being recognised and whatnot. I would really actually like if they put in DLC costumes for characters and whatnot in Gen 8, so you could have like Wes's coat and whatnot, and I don't know, maybe the female trainer could dress as Rui and so on, because even with the upgrade in like the customization for Gen 7, there still wasn't that much like for either trainer, I think. Like, you can't even dress as like famous trainers.
Yeah, like having them sort of little nod kind of costumes would be pretty cool. I will say that if you play as a female trainer, which I usually do when there's a choice, you do get a fair amount of different costumes that you can pick from. But like the male trainer usually does get screwed in that respect. Although I suppose from a design perspective, there's not as much cool stuff you can do with male character designs as female character designs.
True, but then you have got, you know, an entire back catalogue of male trainers, and I'm pretty sure that in the grand scheme of things there have been more male trainers than there have been female, though that said, the Pokemon series has always been pretty good in terms of having a more equal level of representation for both genders throughout the franchise. It's just that you weren't able to play as a girl until Crystal, but that was video games at the time, so hey.
Well, you say that, but I know one of the big criticisms of Colosseum is the use of the female characters, in the fact that the only prominent ones are like your partner character and the idol. So like that's kind of it, and like I don't usually like dwelling on this kind of stuff because quite often I find these arguments do get blown out of proportion. But with how Rui is, she's replaced with an item in XD. Let's put it that way. That's the best way to describe it.
I mean, I will say, yeah, Colosseum is not the best example for equal representation in the Pokemon series, but in general, the franchise has been pretty good with it.
I do want to stress when we're talking about this, I don't feel this comes down to like ill intent on the designers.
Oh, no.
I believe it's more like oversights and just maybe not being particularly well versed in writing the characters. Because I know sometimes these arguments do get conflated as less of this writing isn't too good and more of this person's a misogynist, and I don't think that's the case.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I think this is just very much they came up with some ideas for good characters and put them in, and then didn't really think about the writing of it or look at it and think maybe this is a little bit one-sided. But then also this was at a time where really that wasn't a major talking point either, so they wouldn't have been thinking about it. So it's a thing that happened, and it's not horrendous, but it is something you could criticise Colosseum for, but it's not a major problem in it.
I think it might also be playing to stereotypes a little bit as well in terms of just how they like world's design, because like if you think of a region full of ruffians and criminals and that, first thing that comes to your mind, bunch of bad guys.
Yep.
You don't really think in terms of like the females who might be around. So that could be just, you know, playing note by note in that respect.
Yeah, which is also fair enough.
Yeah, so let's see what Silver's got to say for himself. Nothing, he just got caught.
Something, came down here to help, got caught because I'm incompetent. I'm sorry. Why did they tie me up and put me in here? That doesn't really make much sense.
Well, I mean, like, it is the idea that that fence is quite low, and if his hands were free, he could very easily climb over it.
Probably, although it does look like his hands are tied behind his back. So honestly, I'm not quite sure how he managed to get the discs out of wherever he'd stored them to give to you, or get them through the chain link. But hey, take what you can get with those sorts of things.
Might be looking a bit far into that one. But yeah, this is the other main spot in the Under, just before we wrap out the part. Basically, the Colosseum and the Pokemon Center, you're going to be coming back here a fair bit, because there's going to be a lot of battles coming up that you'll want to heal between each and every one. And yeah, the Colosseum here as well does become a useful grind spot, though thankfully I'm not going to spend too much time showing off stuff like that.
Thank you, Jesus. Alright, I got nothing else to say, so we'll see you next upload day for more of this schlock. Oh no, I did it again. We have 10 seconds left. I didn't count the seconds. Why don't you count the seconds, Tom?
5, 4, it goes down like that, Tom.
Ryan is a DC fanboy, bye.